Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I am audible to you all. Am I? Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, sir.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. This is the edition 4 of the EduSphere Colloquium series organized by Indian Quality Assurance Cell of MI Training College, Ponnani. For the new participants, I would like to give a brief introduction about the EduSphere. EduSphere is the colloquium series platform organized by our college to bring the able faculties as the resource persons and the enthusiastic learners as the participants to discuss or various interesting topics related to education. So today on the edition 4 of the colloquium series, we have Mr. Acharya Kandap Umakant from Chhattisgarh. He is a prospective teacher educator in the prestigious institution IITE, that is Indian Institute of Teacher Education. So today he will be discussing on the topic research trends and future scopes in Indian knowledge system. With this short note, I would like to welcome our resource person to this session. I would also like to welcome all the participants who have joined from various parts of the country to this edition 4 of the series. Thank you. Hope we will have a wonderful learning session in today. Over to you, sir.
I think Sir has given a beautiful introduction of mine. My name is Acharya Kandap. I am from Indian Institute of Teacher Education, a prospective teacher educator and a researcher. And if I have to conclude my introduction in just one statement, then I'm a curious and explorer of Indian knowledge system. So I'm truly thankful to MI Training College, Nasir Ali sir, and all the beautiful and curious students who have joined this. I know the audience is going to be very heterogeneous, so I need to keep the topic to very accurate and very general. So let's start with the words of Veda. Anu Bhadra Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha. May the noble thoughts come to us from all the possible directions. So the idea is about Indian knowledge system. So I need to share one of the recent incidents which happened to me. Just yesterday, one of my junior approached me, and told me, Kandar, please inform us and guide us. What is your research topic? And I said it's truly aligning with the Indian knowledge system. And he was truly amused and in a shock. Oh, Indian knowledge system. Then you must have read about some of the scriptures and all. And this myth, this misconception needs to be busted today. So I truly and beautifully answered him that, do you offer a water to sun god daily? He said yes. I again said that, do you drink a turmeric milk when you are having a sore throat? He again answered yes. And lastly, I asked that, do you celebrate each and every festivals which are celebrated in our India? And he cheerfully said yes. So I welcomed him to the IKS club that, my dear junior, you are already in the Indian Knowledge System club, because Indian Knowledge System was not only about our beautiful ancient scriptures, but it's also about a 12-year-old Tamil Nadu boy named Anand who discovered G for B, that is Google for blind. So this is the biggest myth and misconception about Indian knowledge system, that it's only about scriptures. So I hope you all are understanding that you all are already into the Indian knowledge system in your day-to-day life. So let's start the topic. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And as it's going to be a colloquium series, I truly request Nasir sir that do request all the students that if you have any of the doubt in between the session also, kindly ask it so that the session would not be the one way and it can be an interactive one. So let's start with the introduction. In a small village of Kerala, an old scholar named Acharya Venkatesan lived in a modest home filled with ancient palm leaf manuscripts. He was known for his deep wisdom, but rarely spoke of the treasures hidden in his collection. One day, a young researcher Ravi visited him. Acharya, I have come to understand these roots of Indian knowledge, but everywhere I look, I find references of Western scholars and modern sciences. Is there really anything valuable left in our knowledge system? The old scholar smiled and handed Ravi an old manuscript. Read this. As Ravi carefully unfolded the fragile leaves, he was astonished. The text detailed surgical procedures that resembled modern medical practices. Another section spoke of plant based medicines that were now being patented by pharmaceutical companies abroad. There was even a description of aerodynamics written centuries before the Wright brothers. Acharya Venkatesan then said, our knowledge system was never old. It was merely forgotten, but those who seek will always find. Ravi, with newfound respect, realized that Indian knowledge system was not just about history, it was living treasure waiting to be rediscovered and reimagined for the future. So I hope this introduction has created a spark and a sense of engagement within you to dive into the ocean of Indian knowledge system. Now let's get into the outline session. So throughout this session, we will be understanding majorly four of the topics. What is IKS in real sense? Second, importance of IKS, research trends in IKS, and future scopes in IKS. So let me take you to the tapestry of the word Indian knowledge system. What is IKS in real sense? So as we have discussed very earlier that Indian knowledge system is not just about any of the scriptures, any of the religion or any of the rituals. IKS is a way of living. IKS is a way of breathing, is a way of sensing the world and the people around us. So what is IKS? So let me present you the analogy of a huge banyan tree. Let's say that this huge banyan tree is IKS. So the deep roots of this huge banyan tree is the ancient foundation, and the roots of IKS goes to Vedas, Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, Quran Sharif and all the scriptures which holds this banyan tree very much tightly. The strong trunk of this tree of IKS shows its continuity and growth. So IKS, it's not just a rigid boundary or it's not just a rigid or faded away knowledge system. It is adaptable and continually growing. The third, branching out. The branches of our beautiful tree of Indian knowledge system shows our multidisciplinary integration and knowledge system. So on the one hand we have mathematics, so on the other hand we also have the coding system. On the one hand we have Sanskrit, so on the other hand we have the Ayurveda. So IKS in its branching system is multidisciplinary in nature. The aerial roots. We all know that when our basic or deep roots gets older and older, it needs to have some aerial roots. So IKS also needs to have some aerial roots like adaptability and future potentials. And the final one, the home for many. As the huge banyan tree provides shadow and shelter to all the birds without asking, oh, what religious is yours? Similarly, IKS is for all Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Moving further, importance of IKS. So before knowing this, we have one tendency in our Indians that if we are not aware about the importance of anything, we are not going to adapt it. So what is the importance of IKS? So the first importance, let me present some of the very important knowledge concepts, some of the epistemological beliefs and some of the metaphysical realities which will enhance the importance of IKS. So the first is the Kerala School of Mathematics, and I am truly grateful to share with you that recently I had an internship at NIT Calicut. So I am truly connected, deeply, soulfully connected with Kerala and the peoples of Kerala. So the Kerala School of Mathematics in 14th century developed calculus concepts before Newton and Leibniz, which are now studied in global research. So you can understand that IKS is not an older system. The calculus which we are studying nowadays was founded by our own Indian peoples. Second, the Greenwich Mean Time GMT system was developed using Indian astronomical calculations from the 18th century British survey. Third, Harvard University and MIT are conducting neuroscience studies on the impact of meditation and pranayam on cognitive function. But we Indians have built a mindset that if someone from the Western knowledge system will guide us that these are the breathing practices, these are the mindfulness trainings, then we are astonished by their knowledge system. Oh, great. But if some of our rishis or some of our saints or some of our old elder people will tell us that the pranayam or yoga is already mentioned in the Yoga Sutra, then we feel that it's not like a modern science. So that tendency of feeling that IKS is an older knowledge system must be erased first. Fourth one, the stepwell system called Baolis of India is being replicated in California and Spain to tackle water scarcity. So you can just witness that our own knowledge system is very widespread throughout the world. And the last one, Oxford University is researching Upanishadic concept of consciousness in relation to quantum computing. So from consciousness mentioned in Upanishad to the computing, our IK has came a long way. And these are the very few examples of importance of IKS. If we look deeply into the very minute details and the concept mentioned in our knowledge system, then you will find that we truly have a greatest treasure of knowledge. Just the dust which is just fading out our knowledge needs to be erased. Now, the main center of attraction of today's colloquium series, research trends. So I hope you all have got a brief awareness about what is Indian knowledge system, what is the Indian knowledge system in real sense. It's not about only scriptures, rituals and religions. It's about a way of living. And you all have got that Indian knowledge system was very vast and very deep in its nature. So now the main core of today's series, research trend. So this is one of the bibliometric analysis presented to you, documented by the subject area. Social science holds the highest number of researches in field of IKS, and that's 18.5 percentage, followed by agriculture 16.8 percentage, environmental science 12.7 percentage, pharmacology 7.1 percentage. And when I am uttering the word pharmacology, let me just share you one of the latest fact that Americans are now running behind us, and they have just shared one of the story that we have founded one of the patented medicine which can cure the white blood cell deficiency in humans and which can cure your wound. And all of our Indians were truly astonished. Oh, wow, that's a kind of a new research. But when we look deeply into that research, that medicine was none other than our own turmeric. The turmeric powder which we use in our weddings, the turmeric powder which we use to inculcate with the milk and use to drink when we are having a sore throat, and the turmeric which we use to heal our wounds. That simple turmeric powder is now patented by Americans and showed that it's our knowledge system. So you can understand the deepness of our knowledge system. Just the thing is that we have not much documented our knowledge system. We have not much explored our knowledge system. That's why it's fading away. But the thread of reviving, and I will not say actually reviving, because revival process is for someone who is dead. Indian knowledge system is never dead. Indian knowledge system is something which we are living in our day-to-day life. So the process of revitalizing the energy which needs to be channelized in the research of IKS needs to be revitalized so that we can show the world that all of the modern technologies, all of the artificial intelligence, the neuroscience trends which the world is running behind were already mentioned by our Indians. So the arts and humanities shares 6.6 percentage of research. Health profession shares about 4.3, engineering 3.6 percentage, and these were all the data which will provide you a brief about how other disciplines are conducting research in Indian knowledge system. And when I am talking to the hereditary and the Vanshaj of Chanakya, it's a proud moment for all of us that social science holds the highest number of research in Indian knowledge system. Moving further, research trends in top universities. So now you might be thinking that if social science is having 18.6 percentage, a huge number of research, then why that research is not reached to the locals? That research is not conducted in our university. So while Indian knowledge system is often seen as a subject of cultural preservation in several top universities worldwide, including in the US, UK, Germany, Japan, are actively researching IKS based educational methodologies. Institutions like Harvard, MIT, and Oxford are studying how Indian logic called Nyay, cognitive learning theories from Vedant, and Sanskrit based phonetics can enhance critical thinking, cognitive development, and language acquisition. Meanwhile, IITs and NITs in India have launched IKS research centers focusing on integrating ancient pedagogical techniques with AI driven personalized learning, gamification, and experiential education models. For instance, IIT Kharagpur is developing AI models based on Panini's Sanskrit grammar, which can revolutionize linguistics and NLP based education tools. IIT Gandhinagar is exploring how Indian epistemology can improve decision making models in engineering education. However, while these institutions focus on high tech application of IKS, there is a lack of localized school level and teacher education research that applies IKS principles in rural and primary education settings. This is where BEd institutions and local universities must step in to bridge the gap. So I hope you have gotten importance of Indian knowledge system, how much it is important, and it's not just about the research. Even if an individual just follow one of the principles, one of the tattva called essence in Indian knowledge system, then also he can nurture his life. So the Indian knowledge system was already there. We already have the documents, and we already are curious to perform the research. Then the question is still in the line. What is the research gap in IKS? If we already have all the data, if you already have that mindset to dive into that ocean, so what's stopping us? Where is that lack of epistemological belief to conduct a research? And the first is IKS based education research must shift from textual analysis to classroom applications. And this is a very honest review of mine that I have uh, participated in about 6 to 7 national international conference of Indian knowledge system itself, because it's like a hot and trending topic nowadays for a conference or seminar. So all of the sudden, I just got to know that one common research trend, which is now we can say it's in an infant stage in IKS, is that all of the researcher are going to highlight some of the slokas, some of the concepts, or some of the already mentioned researches in IKS, and just saying that it's a research in IKS. Are you getting it? So if it's in a foundational stage IKS, if it's in an infant stage, it's very much obvious that the researcher focus on the conceptual data that it was mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it was mentioned in Yoga Sutra, it was mentioned in our metallurgy, it was mentioned in any of the astronomy, but that's not enough, because our Indians do have that very specific knowledge that we have my word very boldly, Indian knowledge system in the foundational stage needs to be highlighted first, but needs to be validated in the end. Until and unless we are going to validate that Indian knowledge system that yes, yoga improves your consciousness, yes, yoga improves your critical thinking, yes, that pillar which is hanging in air in the Delhi temples is not just a pillar of so-called scriptures or something. It was actually a scientific inventions of our Indians. Until and unless we are going to develop this kind of mindset, I guess it's not going anywhere. And let me share you one of the incidents that when I was at NEPA, you might have heard, National Institution of Educational Planning and Administration. At that time, there was one national seminar on indigenous knowledge system actually, and there was one of the very important paper in IKS. I really need to cite it here because it was really insightful paper. And the title was that Indian knowledge system and the food system which can enhance our nutritional values. So I was truly curious that there might be something very huge, there might be something very general, that our Indian food can enhance our nutritional value rather than the Western foods, rather than the burgers. But what was there in that research? There was checkward chena poi. It is one of the traditional grass or weed, we can say, which is being planted in Bihar. In Bihar, when the people used to do farming, at that time some of the weed or waste grass is already grown around that main plantation, and that useless grass is used to add to a nutritional value of your food. And even the people of Bihar used to make chapatis from that chakwa chena poi. So I was truly astonished. Oh, what a specific research topic he has selected. So that conveys a beautiful and very bold message to all the audience who are listening me through this online medium, that if you are seeking to conduct a research in Indian knowledge system, go for very specificity. If I can go for calculus in Indian knowledge system, then I will not go for a mathematics branch as a whole. If I can go into a small sloka which depicts the beauty of calculus, then I will also not go for the calculus as a whole. Because when in Indian knowledge system you conduct a research very broadly, that there was metallurgical evidences in past, there was chemistry evidences in past, there was mathematics, physics, everything was there in our Indian knowledge system. It's a kind of very much layman research. So you must focus on something very specific, you must focus on something validating, and you must focus on conceptual papers rather than just to conduct a literature review or something. Second thing, instead of writing conceptual papers on IKS, researchers should conduct practical studies on its effectiveness in the modern education. So I have said that as you all are in a very primary stage of research, you first go for conceptual papers, what is actually there in the Indian knowledge system. But once you have reached that level, that yes, Indian knowledge system do have this stuff, you must go for practical implications. You must go for the modern statistical techniques and advanced statistical techniques to validate our knowledge system. And I am truly saying this, that this is going to be very much fruitful and insightful in your academic journey. Third one, every B.Ed student, teacher, and researcher should focus on local action researches to test how IKS can solve India's real educational challenges. One word which we have heard or listened from the ages, and that word is Gurukula system. But what is that Gurukul system? So if a researcher wants to conduct a research on Gurukul system and its impact on the modern day classroom system, then before starting to conduct this research, one must possess all the steps, all this scriptural knowledge, all the evidences of our ancient tapestry. But after getting those ancient knowledge, I do request, don't just go for conceptual papers only. If you already have the understanding of the concept of Gurukul, you must seek for experimentation. You must seek for empirical validation of that knowledge. You must seek to conduct those action research so that you can validate our own knowledge system rather than just to highlight some of these scriptures and say, yes, it was already mentioned. And the final one, IKS should not just be a topic of research, it should be a research based movement to transform Indian education. So it's a pretty much clearer to all. Let's move forward. And future scopes. So you all might be thinking that IKS is in trending, it might fade away in nearby future, it might diminish its existence in nearby future, but it's not the real ground reality. Actually, IKS is going a longer way because, as I have mentioned in the very beginning, even Harvard and MIT universities, even the Western knowledge system and the Western scholars are now eagerly and curiously waiting to enter into the IKS stream. So, if they are eagerly waiting and curiously waiting, then why? What is stopping us? It's not a conventional knowledge system. It's a very much modernized knowledge system, and it's not only about the ancient era. IKS means ancient era from Buddhist to Jainist. IKS means the knowledge system which have been generated during the Mughal era. IKS is also about the medieval era, the pre-independence, the colonial period, the post-colonial period, even NEP 2020, and even about the artificial intelligence and technology in education. IKS is not something which was binded towards about the BCE, before Christ era. No, IKS is something from before Christ era to 2025 itself. So future scopes, IKS based pedagogies for modern classroom, as we have already discussed, multilingual education and cognitive development, IKS and inclusive education, it's a very trending topic, cognitive science and Indian logic in education, mindfulness, well-being and teacher training, uh, IKS and environmental education, comparative studies, big data analytics for assessing IKS pedagogical effectiveness, action research and empirical studies, cross-disciplinary research, IKS and neuroscience in learning. Now let me show you. This is my own research topic. On the first glance, you will find that, oh, this is something very much astonishing, this is something very much advanced, this is something done by a Western researcher, a modeling which an Indian researcher can't do. But let me tell you, this research is done by me and my co-author. And what is this? It's an old Indian concept from Srimad Bhagavad Gita itself, that's Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic Sukh. And Western concept called NFC, that's a need for cognition. And one of the trending psychological concepts called resilience. So that's how you are going to validate our Indian knowledge system. If you have Srimad Bhagavad Gita, read it thoroughly, extract some of these levels from that, and on the basis of that concept, you just do not highlight those concepts only. Go for empirical studies, go for such kind of modeling so that our knowledge system can shout and our knowledge system can scream in the world that we are not ancient knowledge system, we are yet impactful, we are yet relevant. This was another research conducted by me and my co-author. You all know about Yoga Sutra, Maharshi Patanjali. If I say I have done research on Yoga Sutra and Maharshi Patanjali, you will feel, oh, that's not sound interesting. But if I say that I have conducted structural equation modeling on the basis of Yoga Sutra, 5 types of Chitta, a mental emotional energy. And through the structural equation modeling, I have validated that actually the Kshipt and Vikshipt chip are not much correlated. The Kshipt and mood chip are not much, but Kshipt and Ekagra chip are inversely correlated. So if a student or if any of the human being are in a stage of Kshipt chip or a restless mind, then he can't be focused. This simple line can be validated through this model. So that's the beauty, that's the charm of our Indian knowledge system. It must be validated through some of the techniques, some of the modern advanced statistical techniques. It must be experimented in real classroom settings so that we can get out of that so so much prepared that bubble of that we are knowing Indian knowledge system. Knowing Indian knowledge system is now not just enough. You must validate it, you must disseminate it, and you must should have a pride for Indian knowledge system. With this, I would like to end my say, and I am truly eager to answer all of your questions so that we could have an insightful question answer and interaction. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. It was very informative. And dear participants, please use the time for getting your queries on discussion. Please come forward first. Sir, sir, there is a query in the chat box.
Yes, sir. Okay. So how can we include or implement the IKS concept in a school setting or classroom? Very insightful question it is, very curious. So actually, before understanding the so-called classroom settings, which we have created after the colonial period, the first thing we need to understand is that what is the meaning of classroom? So the classroom in Indian knowledge system was just a medium, was just a platform for knowledge sharing. So if you are trying to inculcate Indian knowledge system into the classroom settings, then you must understand the stakeholders first. That there are so much of psychological concepts which can be implemented on the students, which can be implemented on the teachers as well. There are some of the philosophical school of thoughts like we can say idealism or existentialism or pragmatism. We already have some of the school of thoughts. If that school of thoughts are inculcated into the real classroom settings through the experimental studies, through the surveys, through the qualitative studies as well, then IKS can truly measure and validate its importance. I hope you have gotten your answer. So there is a question from Nisa Sheikh that how IKS is related to English literature as a subject. Is there any way to correlate the two? So the thing is that when we are talking about the English literature, we think that English literature is not our own. It was adapted through the colonial period. But if we go into the roots of any of the language, so each and every language has one of the basic model, has one of the basic paradigm. So in India, there was one of the majestic scholar, we all know his name, Acharya Pannani, who has already built one of the grammarian model. And on the basis of that grammarian model, even IIT Kharagpur is conducting some of the research that how that Sanskrit model can enhance the skill of an individual to learn other language and can improve the multilingualism in classroom. So when we are talking about languages, it's not just about words, it's about a basic language model and the basic sentence formation and all. And that was very beautifully, very extensively mentioned in Acharya Pannini's grammar. How IKS plays a vital role in holistic development of human being, Maitri. So, on the basis of my own conducted research, I would not just build a castle in the air that this is there, which I have not experienced yet. But on the basis of my own conducted research, I would say if a person just maintains his mento emotional state, that is known as chit in the Yoga Sutra of Maharshi Patanjali, then also he can flourish holistically. He can channelize his not only cognitive but not only emotional but also psychomotor activities in a righteous way. So if an individual just focuses on how to nurture the chit and how to make it peaceful rather than making it restless, then also any individual, irrespective of field and domain, can flourish in their life. How can we integrate IKS in the B.Ed classroom? Very good. So let me just tell you that you all are going to be the pioneers of our nation. You all are future teachers, future teacher educators, future researchers. So Indian knowledge system has some of the greatest teachers as well. And the most ideal teacher was Acharya Chanakya. So Acharya Chanakya just picked up one of the student, one of the disciple who was even not that much competent to become the Chakravarti Samrat. But Acharya Chanakya provided some of the interventions. Acharya Chanakya taught him. Acharya Chanakya just built a character which was able to become a Chakravarti Samrat. So you must dive into our own knowledge system and you must seek how our ancient teachers, how the teachers of the Mughal era, how the teachers of the medieval era used to teach the students, what were the pedagogical approaches, what were the epistemological beliefs they used to share while sharing the knowledge, and that will truly enhance the ambience of a B.Ed classroom.
Is there any other queries from any participant?
Dear Fahima Muhammad, please be clear that is it SEL or is it ESL?
ESL.
And if it ESL, then what's the meaning of that ESL? How it's abbreviated so that I can get your question very clearly. SEL, social emotional learning, am I right? Okay. So social emotional learning, and that's one of the most important skills which each teacher, which each student and even a layman people needs to learn, that how to be socially competent, how to be emotionally intelligent, and how to just have the empathy with the opposite person, so that it's not just about your cognitive development. You can even develop yourself by just managing your chit only. So social emotional learning is kind of a broader concept. If I have to take one whole lecture on that, then also the time would not allow me to do so. So the only thing I would say that social emotional learning was already mentioned in all of our religious scriptures, but my only message is that if you will read all of our religious scriptures, all of the poems, all of the Sufi songs, all our traditions, all our festivals, with that point of view that I have to extract some of the jewels about socio-emotional learning from that festivals or scriptures or anything, then I am sure that you will find socio-emotional learning in our Indian knowledge system. I hope you have gotten your answer.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the answer. That was exactly what I was looking for, sir, because SEL is something that has been advocated. There's so much many more today, but that was something which we have actually had in our ancient times and was propagated actually very much clearly and all the delicate aspects of that. Thank you so much for the answer, sir.
I hope there are no more queries. I am very happy to have our resource person Acharya Kandap Umakant to discuss on the topics and the research trends in Indian knowledge system. So Indian knowledge system IKS, we have a separate subdivision under Ministry of Education in the Government of India now, and Government of India has been giving focus on promoting our culture and our tradition and our knowledge system too. So good amount of fund is also allocated to promote the own social and educational system rather than simply going and running for the westernized systems. And there is a trend of called local rather than global. So a few years back we were always quoting global in every aspects, in every field. Now there is a trend of going for the local needs, using the local resources and enriched by the local knowledge system. I hope the IKS's various aspects have been discussed by our resource person, and I wish Mr. Acharya the best for completing his unique topic of research at the earliest and come ahead to the field of higher education in India. And I hope his expertise will also be making the IKS into a more secular aspect as a propagator of the IKS system. And I hope all the learners have enjoyed today's session, and the feedback link is also provided in the chat box. Please use the link to fill the form today itself. Thank you very much, and I expect you all to come on the platform of EduSphere when the edition 5 is announced soon. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.